Hi, everyone. Welcome to Just Show Up. I am Brenda Thompson. I am your host. And today we're going to tackle thoughts, perceptions, maybe even some misperceptions on the word authenticity. And authentic and being authentic is kind of a hot topic right now. I want to discover what that means, or I want to show you and talk to you about what that means to me. I do try to always be my true authentic self. And that doesn't mean that doesn't evolve and change over time. It does. And when I started discovering for myself that when I showed up as my true authentic self, it opened the door for others to show up as their true authentic selves. And that just grows your network so much. And people appreciate that. They appreciate when you can be yourself and when you open space for them to be themselves as well. Here's a story about how being your true authentic self can impact your business. How do you know if you're not being authentic? Here's a tip on finding yourself, even if it's hard. Growing into yourself doesn't really require a mask. It just requires you to show up, which does require courage, but then you get to be your authentic self. It's funny because it's a topic I care so much about. And I really do believe that agents, not just agents, every human being needs to be able to find who their true authentic self is. I believe that finding that and being able to be authentic is what can help you find happiness. But I also believe you have to surround yourself with those positive mantras and put positivity in your life. But when you can find a way to be your authentic self every day, I think that's where you find some happiness. So it's funny to me now, it struck me kind of to my core. But years and years ago, I went through a divorce, and my grandmother, who was still alive at the time, told my mother, did not tell me, but told my mother that she was so happy to see me being my authentic self again. She actually used the word authentic. She said, she told my mother it was so good to see Brenda being Brenda again. And wow, I mean, it was a kick in the stomach when she said that then, but it was a wake up call for me too. That wow, somewhere over the years, I had kind of become less and less of myself. And when my grandmother was saying she was happy to see me being me again, I was like, okay, I'm doing something right. It was the right decision. I have been a broker all but 2 of those years. I started out as an agent, but quickly, or really honestly, immediately knew that I wanted to be a broker to be able to work with agents. And so that was always my path and my goal to be able to get my broker's license and then to open up my own brokerage. So 2002, when I got my real estate license, and then 2 years later when I got my broker's license, and that's going to vary from state to state. At the time in Texas, 2 years plus a ton more of education and a ton more classes and extra tests and things like that to be able to sit for your broker's license exam. But that varies from state to state. Now in Texas, that's 4 years required, not just two. But then it was two. I had owned businesses previous to real estate. So I knew that that was going to be my goal, was to be able to own a business again. In real estate, I wanted to surround myself with other people who carry passion for real estate and for helping others just like I do. So that was the way that I could do that and go create the environment to be able to surround myself with other agents who are like-minded. So right out of college, I worked in an advertising agency. I did HR, then moved into the medical industry. And with partners, we grew some clinics. And I was in the medical industry for several years. And that was part of where the entrepreneurial spirit started coming out, because we owned the clinics, we operated the clinics, and I loved working with other owners and other people who were passionate about what they're doing. So that's kind of where the tie-in came. And when I decided that wasn't the path that I wanted to stay on, that I wanted to move into real estate, I knew that I wanted to be able to do the same, just surround myself with people that are passionate about what we do and passionate about helping the other people. So that was the biggest part of it. It's funny because I know a lot of agents will say they got into real estate because they love looking at houses, or they watched a lot of HGTV shows, and those are great and that's fine. For me, it was the business aspect of it. So it was all about the business transaction and being able to help people get what is usually the largest investment they ever make. So buying a house is typically the biggest financial investment that people will make. And being able to be a part of that, being able to be a part of helping them find it and then helping them to negotiate and then get the biggest part from contract to close, making sure that they successfully get there. That was the biggest part of it. And so that was the piece of working with clients, right? So working with buyers and sellers, the traditional way of doing real estate. And then for me, I love doing that, but I wanted to help agents be able to do that as well. So that was my transition of being able to share my passion for helping people, but share that with agents so that they can go help the clients. I think some of that comes with the process of being able to handle disruption when it comes. So, in a contract to close, there are surprises that come up, whether it's about the property, whether it's about something in the transaction that isn't always perfect. And that's where being able to sit back a bit and look at it and say, okay, what's the best way, the best route to get this to where we all want it to be, which is closing. Ultimately, that is the goal. And me being able to look at that from a little bit from afar helps me to help my agents because my agents are emotionally engaged with their clients and they're hearing the emotion of their clients. So there's a buffer there. But then I'm a little bit even more further removed. So I can look at it from a completely different standpoint of, well, here's what we need to do. And here's step one, two, three, and let's go take action and make that happen. I had a definite moment that I wanted to do something different than the medical clinics. So that was a moment. And real estate seemed like it made sense to me. I'm probably one of the odd agents that I love the legal issues of it. I love looking at the contracts and understanding the contracts and being able to see how the way we understand and know the terms of the contracts is how we can best negotiate for our clients. Like I dig into the meat, the nitty gritty pieces of that. And that is what I love to be able to say, okay, I will know this and I will be an expert at this. And then I will be able to better help others with it. I think a lot of it comes from liking people. I know that sounds a little silly, but caring about people and truly being authentically caring for where people are in their journey. And so helping them be able to make that big transaction. And then for me, so that's with buyers and sellers, but then for agents to be able to help agents explore and find their niche, what they're best at, and helping that guide them to be able to help more clients too. For me, somewhere along the journey, I've discovered or better learned that authenticity is magnetic. So when you can find who you truly are and what excites you, it becomes magnetic. And then those same like people will find you. So you put out an aura of authenticity and people who like that and connect with that will find you. Your sphere will grow from that. Authenticity is being real. And that really is a self discovery of finding what makes you happy, what makes you excited and passionate. And then honestly, I think so often people confuse being authentic or being passionate about something with they don't want to come off as being fake. And yet, when you are authentically you, you're not at all fake. You put out what you are and what you love. And so for me, authenticity is about integrity. It is about being real. It is about some of that is a self discovery of what does excite you, what does make you happy, and really kind of leaning into it. And this works on any industry. So it's not about just real estate or any other industry specific. It is truly find what makes you happy. So whether that is a certain look or a certain type of people that you surround yourself with, or again, could be industry, but be true to who you are. To me, it comes with integrity. It comes with professionalism. That is me being my authentic self. And that's what I like to instill in my agents. And I hope that all of our clients see that too. Some of that has come with an evolution, and that probably is the way that a lot of people find it. So for me, there were several different points of me being just truly who I am. So, an actual real story. Several years ago, my husband had a surgery that resulted in him being in the hospital for a long time. And I had several agents at the time. I probably had 180 agents or something at that time. And so he was in the ICU and he was in the hospital, and it was a very scary time. He's fine now. Fast forward years later, he's great. But when he was in the hospital, I had to balance being there for him, which I absolutely had to be, wouldn't be anywhere else in the world. But I didn't want my agents to feel like they had been abandoned either. And I know that they would have understood if I said, I'm just out for the next couple of weeks. They would have understood that. But I hosted office meetings from his hospital room. So I would hop on Zoom. Actually, I think it was GoToMeeting back then. And I would hop on and say, okay, never mind. Try to ignore the beeping in the background. Those are the machines that my husband's hooked up to. But I'm here for you. I want you to know I am still paying attention to your transactions. Yes, I need you to call staff for just about everything that you can for a while, but I am still here for you. And I want you to know that. And I did that with a lot of nervousness because there was part of me that was very nervous about them knowing that I wasn't sitting in the office all day, every day for them like I usually am. And yet I also wanted them to know that I was balancing what I had to balance and trying to balance taking care of them too. That being authentic and being real with them during that time built loyalty like crazy. I still to this day have agents who have followed me, who have stayed with me all these years later, and who will ask, "How's your husband doing?" And it's because they remember that time. And while I felt like I was being a little raw, a little open, at the same time, it built loyalty and trust and integrity. And they just saw, wow, she is finding a way to do a work life balance. Talk about work life balance. That was it. And doing that, I discovered in myself that there are times, and I'm not saying you open your door to everything. You still have a private life, you still have a personal life, you still have things you hold close to the vest. But there is also a time that you can be authentically you. And it works for clients when there are times that you need to be at an event. You can simply tell them. They respect that if you tell them, I have to be here on this day at this time, or I'm taking a vacation for a couple of days. I have backup, and the backup will help you while I'm out of town. But I'm going to take a couple of days off and I'm here for emergencies. So if anything urgent comes up, I'm still here. I'm a phone call away, but I'm going to take a little bit of time for myself. And when you discover that authenticity and that you can do that and say that, it opens completely new doors for you. There are times that you realize you are not being your truest self and that you feel a little fake. Trust me, people can recognize fake, you know? So there's that gut check that you just recognize. I don't think I was my best self there. And so if you can go revisit it, there are times, and sometimes that's going to be a change in career direction or a change in jobs or a change in who you align yourself with. And I've done those changes. I've made those changes. But yeah, it's really just about looking at what is pulls you back to your center. I would say authenticity is where you are at as your center. Thinking back on times that I've found where my true authentic self was. Okay, so we're taught to be professional. We're taught to be all of these wonderful things, and you think almost that you need to be more reserved. And there was a time that I was doing a lot of speeches on stage. I still do, but this was early on in that part of my career. And I would get on stage and I kept thinking, okay, I'm supposed to be this professional image, right? And I still am. That is part of who I authentically am. But when I would start talking about the excitement that I have about my company, about our technology, about marketing, and you see, I'm lighting up when I talk about it right now, but I would start talking about things that I would get excited about, and people would comment on it like, you light up when you talk about this thing or that thing. And that was when I really, like, really self understood that finding what you're excited about and being able to incorporate that, don't don't quiet yourself. Don't stop that. When you find something that excites you, let it shine. So now I think about myself and, I know that I am a positive person and I like to stay there. I like to be I will turn any story that I can around into some positive aspect of it. But when other people started commenting on that and started acknowledging that when they could see me light up about a topic, that's when I really dug in and said, "Well, this is who I am. This is my authentic true self, and I need to let it shine, not try to quiet it." When I do business planning, one of the things that we take as a section for a business planning session, and I do this every year, it is what's your why? And so you start with what's your why? It could be anything. It could be family. It could be sending a child to school. But what do I get up for every day? And what excites me every day? And try to expand upon that. I know not everyone loves the job they're in, and you probably need that paycheck. So I can't tell you just run away from it. But find what makes you happy and then find ways to explore that. And these are simple, simple things. If that is having coffee every morning and sitting and staring out at on your patio, find some time to do that every day. Don't take that away from yourself, because that's where you find whether you like to meditate, whether you like to read, whether you like to watch TV. I am big on quiet time. So I like to have coffee with quiet time. Find what makes you happy to start your day and make time to do that every day. Some of it is find a style that you like. I know we all follow the trends, and over the years you follow trends more than other times, but find a style that makes you happy so that every time when you get dressed in the mornings that you are happy with what you're putting on. If you don't like it, if you don't like the way it looks on you, don't keep it. Trade it out. And again, I'm not talking about things that cost a lot of money. You can go find a style that fits you, that makes you happy, that isn't terribly expensive. And then the one thing I would always do is surround yourself with positive mantras. So whether that is, and there are apps that you can do that have a positive motivational moment of the day that can be emailed to you, or it can be queued up on by text message. There's a million different apps out there to do that. I like the tangible things. So I usually have things around that is like almost like a calendar page that you rip off every day, or you turn the page every day with something positive every day. And I look at that. That could also be a devotional. So maybe, I have a Christian devotional book that I flip through every day as well. So things like that that will give you a grounded moment. It brings centeredness to your world, and it helps to remind you who you are, where you are, and keep you grounded and keep you centered so that you can continue to be your authentic self. It also helps you so that when disruptions come throughout the day, because they do, no matter what career you're in, you'll come across things that interrupt your day, but it helps to pull you back to center every day. Start from center every day. I find this mostly with newer agents. And it's not to say that we don't all cycle through this at different points in our life or in different points of our career, but helping an agent who has gone through maybe a divorce. And I'm thinking of someone in particular here, but went through a divorce, rough divorce. And oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And of course, there's financial aspect is you rethink everything after a divorce. So that is some of the emotional piece of it, but then also helping that agent to recognize, okay, guess what? You are now better as an agent for other couples who come to you who are going through a divorce. And so being able to coach them through, okay, just recognize this. The next time a couple comes to you and they're going through a divorce and they need help, you understand and know you can't get involved in the emotional piece of it or the bickering piece of it. Happens in every divorce. You can't get involved in that, but you are there to be empathetic to them and to help them get through that transaction. And ideally, you're helping them sell a house and then you're helping each of them buy another house. So you've got multiple transactions there. Helping that agent to understand that what they've gone through personally makes them a better agent for their clients when they have clients going through similar. It's like an awakening, and it helps them to recognize that now they can be authentic about their empathy for what that that client is going through and that they can be a better agent for them. The same happens for people who are helping their elderly parents make a different move as well, so kind of downsizing. And when an agent has gone through helping their own parent make a move like that, it helps them to be able to be empathetic and understand and be able to help their clients through it better. So it really is looking at those life situations that people go through and going, okay, this may not have been so fun, but now I'm going through something and it's going to make me better for the clients that I help. The one thing that I find that stops agents from being able to be their true authentic self is fear. It's fear of rejection. It's fear of not being accepted. It's a confidence issue or it's a lack of confidence. And again, this is in any industry. People worry about how they will be accepted or how they will be received or perceived. And so there is a fear of if I am my true authentic self, will people like me? And what I find is being your true authentic self pulls other people around you because of that. You being authentic is magnetic and people will surround you because you are your authentic self. When agents see you being real, they open, human, consistent, it gives them the permission to be real also. And that's what I try to instill in my agents so that they know this is a place of where they can be real. I'll have agents come in every once in a while in a life situation. So while yes, I'm here to be their broker, I'm here to be their professional. Life does get in the way sometimes. And so sometimes you go through a rough time in life. I've had agents come in tears and I simply sit and listen and help them through that, kind of guide them through that. And that being real, they know that I truly, authentically care for them and it builds trust and loyalty back to me. And so we build that environment. I look at my windowsill is always full of little trinkets that my agents have brought me. And it's because I look at that and it makes me smile. It makes me remember who gave it to me or why. And sometimes it's because they took a trip. Sometimes it's because they went through a rough time. One of the things that I have is a superwoman, supergirl figurine. And it's because the person who gave that to me sees me as superwoman. And I always smile when I see that, and it's a little figurine that can change action, change arms around, and sometimes I change it around, but it's always there because it reminds me that that is who that agent sees me as. It's funny because emotional intelligence is something I do study and I am a big believer in. And emotional intelligence, my description of that is approaching things with a wise, like how sometimes you'll call someone an old soul? It's that wise approach, and that's the way I see emotional intelligence. And yet, I also see authenticity as being your true inner self. Those things may not always feel like they fit together, and yet they do. So, Just Show Up is my podcast, which does say that I do believe you need to continually just show up. And that is part of that is sucking it up. Every once in a while, there are days you have to show up when you don't want to be there, when you don't feel like being there, when you would rather be anywhere but there, or when on days that you would rather be at home curled up in a blanket in a ball. You still do have to show up for yourself. You still do have to show up for clients or the people that you have surrounded yourself with. And yet, I do also believe that you can be authentic in those moments. Recognize that I am not going to be 110% every single day, but I will show up every single day. I will be here even on my bad days. And when people see that in you, and for agents, when your clients see that in you, it builds trust, it builds loyalty. They know that, if I am being present, then they can be present. And sometimes presence is all you need. The whole idea about just show up is that life rewards us when we are real enough to take that very first step. It doesn't have to always be perfect, just be present. And practice is what creates perfection. So showing up consistently, day after day, sometimes just for yourself to prove to yourself that you can do it is what eventually gets to that perfection. Being authentic to me is kind of the same as being real, and real recognizes real. And that's what actually can build teams, can build businesses, can build trust, and actually build success as well. So you asked about the feeling of being authentic. And to me, authenticity is not just a strategy. It's not something I set out as a goal. It's just who I am. It's how I lead. It's how I live. It's how I connect. It's just who and what I am. You can't fake what people feel. How do I know when I'm not being me? It's funny. I think a lot of us will get that little pit in our stomach, and I'm being off. I'm not completely me. And there are times that you have to suck it up and just be there and get through something. We all have things that we have to get through that we would rather walk away from. There are times that you're not authentically excited about being somewhere, but you can still be authentic to yourself. You don't have to. I would not lie. I would not change my level of integrity. I would not change my level of professionalism. I will do what I need to do to get through that situation or that scenario. I think for me, the idea of authenticity, it's evolved over the years for sure, but one of the things that really struck me was Mel Robbins' book, The 5 Second Rule. And hearing her tell that story about when that book came out for her, when she wrote the book, she was going through a rough time in her own life. And she realized she was hitting the snooze button over and over and over. And part of it was because she didn't want to get up and start the day. And so the 5 second rule became I am not going to hit that snooze button. I am going to hop out of bed within 5 seconds after that alarm clock goes off. And once she started doing that consistently, she did realize she was facing the day. She was jumping up, she was facing the day, and that was getting her back to her true authentic self. And I don't know that she put it that way, but that's the way it struck me, was being your true authentic self is getting up and doing your day, whatever that day may hold in store, because we do all go through times that we wish we didn't have to go through, whether it's divorce, whether it's medical, whether it's, someone you love going through something medical. There are times in our life that we all go through that we wish we didn't have to. And yet powering through it, finding those mantras, finding those positive things that you can lean on are what help to get you through it. You just have to find what makes you happy, or at least brings you to a place of being centered. And that is you helping to find your own true authentic self. This episode has been sponsored by Home Smart Stars. Agents, do you feel unseen, unheard? Maybe wish you had better commission? Maybe wish that you were welcomed and encouraged to just show up as you are and be your true authentic self, and have all the training and support and tools to help you thrive in your real estate career? If so, then you need to reach out to Home Smart Stars and make Home Smart Stars your home for real estate.